what's going on in your area.
Yeah, thank you. Really talking now on with two hats on, thinking of the Telford Business Board subgroup around equality in employment, but also using my Lloyds Bank Foundation hat on and the ability to gain resources through Lloyds Bank Foundation to unlock potential aspiration and I guess hope in the borough for many people that live and work within it. And I kind of thought, because some of you are not at some of the workshops and meetings that we have, then it might be a good opportunity while we're a small group just to let you know, what we're doing and what we're planning. Particularly around reimagining recruitment, what do we know locally? Some of it's just been covered really well within the banking presentation, but there's other things that we know locally. We know that there is a massive challenge in recruiting. Talking to one organisation 2 weeks ago who have now made the decision to leave Telford because they can't recruit in order to do what they set out to do. Here, they can recruit in other areas of the West Midlands, but not in Telford. We also know you don't have to use stale or traditional models of recruitment, and a lot of people are. I qualified in human resources and recruitment about 30 years ago, and most organisations are still using the same methods to recruit that they did 30 years ago. So we can do it differently. On the opposite side of the lens, there are challenges in being job ready. We know that, don't have to tell you that. And people have opted out of the job market, we've just heard of that. Talking to the job centre, health issues in Telford remains the biggest barrier to entering the job market, as well as skills. We do have highly skilled people in any job. That's a fact in Telford. So we've got highly skilled people who have to take any job in order to keep their benefits or keep their family lifestyle alive or to survive. There is a big skills gap. While alongside that, there is a huge underspend in adult training programs and investment, huge underspend. Some people are not job ready or being encouraged within the education system to consider areas beyond the academic routes. So we've got an education system that is focused on academic. Therefore, the other areas of ability and skills are not being supported. We also know that in Telford that many diverse communities do not understand and cannot easily access our systems. This is because we design recruitment processes with a Western lens. And we don't think about, and we blame people for not applying. We don't know why they're not applying. We're doing what we always did, but they're not applying. They don't understand our processes. There's more we can do there. We know that poor employment is one of the biggest risks to health. High risk determinant to poor health. So we've got to do something there. And we know that the voluntary sector and the CIC, of which Telford Business Board is one, are underfunded across the borough. That's why Lloyds Bank Foundation chose this borough, because it's one of the most underfunded by some of the large funders in actually tackling some of these areas. So we can tap into some resources. So there is funding available. We need to just know and be clear about what we're trying to achieve. And we know we have interest to change and the resources to change and the willingness to do so. And people want to make change happen. It's very clear. But we also know, and I think this is just in most things, that the problems can't be resolved by one sector and one sector alone. It needs to be a joint plan with employers, those seeking work, the public sector and the voluntary sector. It can't be one sector managing this. They've got to come together. So what are we doing? What are we doing right now? We're planning a group meeting under the Telford Business Board subgroup, and we're resourcing that where we can through Lloyds Bank Foundation. So where we're doing activity, we're resourcing it through that. We've been working with partners to explore recruitment. We've been bringing those different partners together, and we've been actively meeting. And I must say, we've got an amazing and creative journey that we could explore, and thinking about all those things I've just been talking about and where we can be really creative and ambitious. And that I can share with anyone, those ideas that are coming through. We paused a bit to build some relationships, stronger relationships across the sector, so that we can bring everyone in. I mentioned earlier, we can't do it with one sector. So we've been taking a close look at current systems, talking to people, having meetings with the job centre, understanding why the opportunities are there as well. And there is some exciting work across the UK happening. Some of it's on our doorstep, the ICANN projects, the work coming out of Liverpool around rethinking about attitudes towards employment. We can use those models and adapt them from here. We've also been in that pausing, sourcing employers to commit to the journey. What we were doing was running a series of workshops, and some employers came and some didn't. And then some couldn't come the next time, and then they came the next time. So now we're trying to get a commitment to the journey, not just to simply attend meetings or not, but actually be a part of it, help design, test some of the ideas coming out of it, and explore change. And to share some of the things we can do right now and some of the things we can plan for in the future, and where we need to gain funding and extra funding to be able to achieve it. So we've got a target of 12 employers, and we've got 5 committed. The NHS, the biggest employer in the area, wants to be part of this journey. The CVS, the voluntary sector, they want to be part. They can't employ either. St Gobain, Serco, and thank you, Ruth, the Chamber committing to it as well, and to actively support. I've been talking to David, that's here as well, about seeking a core care partner to be involved. We're also having discussions with hospitality and getting the public sector employers as well to come in. So that's what we've been doing. What we want from the business board is to see how we can link better that kind of wish for resources and funding, so that the business sector can become a greater partner from the business recruitment lens into this work, and to sit along businesses, other business groups, bringing all those together to strengthen this piece of work. We can't just keep talking about it. We just need to do something, and we need to bring forward then the Chamber, Federation of Small Businesses, and other business groups. Now that might sound like enough work to get on with, but we've also realised that unless we tackle education, we can do as much as we can with employment, but we need to tackle education. So that's where we're also turning our lens. So we're going to do it through a similar model to reimagine recruitment, but we've got a bit longer way to go. So I just want to tell you what we know about education in the borough. What do we know already? Many young people achieve in the borough. We know that, about 6%. But these statistics are built up by just 2 schools. If we took those 2 schools away, that wouldn't be a really good statistic. So it depends where you live in Telford, whether you get a good school or not. This also means that 40% are not achieving. So we need to tackle the 40% that are not achieving. They will be the people looking for the jobs in your organisations in the future. A lot of young people are not job ready, and work experience is not always planned for properly. Young people don't experience as much work as they did in the past. There's no newspaper rounds and those sorts of things that young people understood about what work looked like. And I always smile when I'm working with young people when they talk about career days being freebie days. We need to change that. Education isn't accessible to all. This has led to the disillusionment and dropout. Absenteeism, when I'm talking to the education sector, is one of the biggest problems in Telford education system at the moment. Young people not even coming into school, and teachers becoming stressed and leaving the sector weekly. Young people experience education differently. This includes those coming into the country, young carers, those within the care system. The choices are made too early. Education is geared heavily to academic routes, and there is insufficient focus on alternative employment routes like self-employment. Classrooms are getting bigger because of the reductions in teachers, and they're removing person-centred support. People and families coming into the area often don't even know what their children are being evaluated or assessed on. I bet you we don't even know either. So we can't get our children even ready for the education system. Home education is growing in Telford. It's growing across the UK. So therefore, it's parents taking their children completely out of the system. Disability is growing quicker in young people, fastest growing group due to mental health. And we know that the poor aspiration and lack of hope leads to the wrong or poor lifestyle choices. Again, we know that the voluntary sector organisations picking up the social challenges of young people in this borough are underfunded, but there's money there. NEETs in this borough has a huge fund attached to it. Wouldn't it be great if we spent that money on younger children much earlier before they become needs? So there could be change and shift in funding. I've got a commissioner who wants to work with us on this. And support for young people and funding for young people is not early enough. It's usually when they get to junior school. Senior school, that's at the point where many of them hate the system, hate the teacher, and have decided not to go into school. Young people don't have a strong voice in changing the education environment. Have a look at any education system talked about in this borough. Young people are not in that conversation. The Telford Education Strategic Board partners are generally representing one sector, the education sector, and they're not seeing it through the wider lenses. And we know each sector is working on parts of the ecosystem. So again, we're all working in silo, often is the case. And we know that the problems, again, cannot be solved by one sector alone. It can't be solved by just the education sector, the young people, the wider public sector, or the voluntary sector. And most importantly, it's got to be designed for the young people. So what are we doing? It sounds very gloomy, doesn't it? What are we doing? We've now got a young local man leading on this work alongside me. He's 22. He has experienced a rough experience of the education system. He was expelled from the education system in Telford. He became homeless. And ironically, he went into a specialist sports school where he's had the best experience of education that he could have ever had. And he wants to change it in Telford. So we have an opportunity now. We've got a slot to present to the Telford Education Strategic Board, essentially about saying we can't keep talking about these things. We've got to have a plan to see what we can change. And we are working with the education quality leads at the council to hold an event to bring all partners together across sectors to explore what might be achieved in education to create a better tomorrow in Telford. Again, this won't be about tinkering around the edges, and we need to be creative and bold. And that event will be planned for the autumn, when it's the opportunity for most from the education sector to join every other sector. And we're talking to and creating relationships with all those engaged in education and support to young people from a range of diverse experiences, from those who care for, have been in the care system, have been expelled, etc. What do we need for the business board? To be part of it, to be part of the discussions, to help with those discussions, and to make a commitment to work on it. I think it's where the funding lie, and I think it's possibly where, as a CIC, this sort of work can be held alongside other strategic partners, including young people. So I just took that opportunity to give, while we're a smaller group and there's some time, to give you a big update of what we've been doing. And can I just thank those in this space who are already part of this journey, but we need more.